have a little bit of a bonus episode with this one, because if you have listened to episodes with Gare and Steph, Marisha reads a lot on Instagram. Marisha, she sent this book to Gare and told him he had to read it. And then Gare and Steph both read it, and they're like, you have to read it. And I was like, I will request it, and let's hope I get it. And I got it a week later, and I read it, and we all just love this book so much. And so Gare and I just had to take the opportunity to talk with Marshall Karp about his new thriller, Don't Tell Me How to Die, which is a really cool mashup of both family drama and sister relationships and a thriller. It does both so well. There's so much emotional depth. And then the last 25%, straight thriller craziness. So we just had to talk to Marshall, but this is the synopsis for anyone who hasn't read it yet. I have one thing to do before I die, and time is running out. I had it all: a fantastic husband, 2 great kids, an exciting career. And then, at the age of 43, I found out I would be dead before my next birthday. I was 17, and she warned me that women would flock to my suddenly single father like stray cats to an overturned milk truck. They did, and one absolutely evil woman practically destroyed his life, mine, and my sister's. I am not letting that happen to my family. I have 3 months, and I plan to spend every waking minute searching for the perfect woman to take my place as Alex's wife and mother to Kevin and Katie. You're probably thinking, she'll never do it. Did I mention that in high school I was most likely to kill someone to get what she wants? This is purposefully vague. You want it to be vague, but also it tells you the premise that you're coming here for. You'll hear us talk about it, but we all just felt like it was such a unique thriller. It has such a specific premise to it, which is kind of nice. Sometimes you're reading somewhat similar premises, and we just all loved the emotional depth, the relationships, and the wild final act. So if that doesn't make you want to go buy it right now, this conversation with Marshall will.
Actual recording is higher quality. I like that.
Yeah,
So that okay. So you're telling me that I will come off much better than I do right now. This writer is much higher quality than he appears.
You're gonna be the best looking one out of all 3 of us.
Oh, stop! Oh no! Don't get me started. I did lose 25 pounds.
Nice
Good
work.
for you.
But yeah, I mean, I don't look at, well, I think it's because the camera adds 10 pounds and there's like three fucking cameras in this thing. No, I did the shots.
Same. I've lost 30.
And they cause migraines. No, they're terrible, but they work. And
They work. I agree.
I am slowly, I'm coming off it because now the trick,
Yep.
So,
I do know what you mean.
well,
you look camera ready, in my opinion.
oh,
Amen.
Yeah.
Stop. Okay. I watch a lot of these podcasts, and all these women are drinking white wine out of crystal, and this is like sludge in a mug. It's just chai tea. That's all.
Ooh, I love chai.
Well, if we were in person, I'd be drinking tequila.
I have electrolytes on the other side of the spectrum.
They have a program for people like you, but
Oh, we're going to have you on more often.
well,
You're gonna be
like,
regular.
Oh yeah, well, that's what my doctor said after I stopped taking the fucking shots. Oh, I forgot to ask you. No cursing.
No, you can curse.
No, you can curse.
We definitely do.
Yeah. Well, I hope that woman who gives 4 stars.
We're not the podcast for her if she's worried about language.
No.
Dr. Lewis saved my life. 4 stars. I mean, give me a break. I don't.
That 5th star was because he didn't do it fast enough.
Yeah.
Reddit had this whole thing where they wrote. Everybody's going, Well, if your goddamn magazines in the waiting room weren't back from the Nixon era, and and if it's just, well, if you saved his life, but it wasn't worth that much. You're lucky to get 4 stars. I mean, it was just on and on. The Redditors went crazy.
Yeah, Redditors are not by and large known for their positive spirit.
But
they love to bitch.
But they are funny.
They're so funny.
Oh, they are so. They're evil. Not my kind of people. But I don't want to have them judge me because no.
It's savage.
They're gonna give you inspiration for your next book.
Probably.
I not only have inspiration for my next book. My next book, which is the 8th in the NYPD Red series that I created for Jane Patterson and took over a couple of books ago. NYPD Red 8, the 1159 bomber.
Ooh.
Yeah.
For my attention.
Yeah, right. The city that never sleeps is afraid to get out of bed.
Oh.
And I'm on chapter 77, and I probably will wrap it up at chapter 80. So I'm like, and that's why I look
exciting.
That's why I look like crap.
You don't.
No, I just my wife and I had Mike Birbiglia tickets for for Saturday night in New York City.
Him.
I know. I bought the tickets in July, and now I'm not going Saturday because I have to finish this book.
Oh.
And because when I was away last weekend, my dog Charlie, who's a rescue, and he was abused. He was from Texas. He's abused, and now he loves me and he feels safe with me. And when I go away, even a friend takes care of him. But he went through with separation, and right. More. On the other hand, when my wife is in New York, when I leave, it's like, bye. Yeah.
That's what happens eventually.
This is not coming off like an author interview podcast, and I'm taking you guys off the rails. So I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
People just like to listen to us have a good conversation with somebody who wrote a book they love.
I actually that's why I saw the last one. You were with Kate and
Steph,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun watching you. And then I watched Gare go. Something about what I loved. You talked about the fact that it stayed with me. I mean, there are people I haven't seen in years, and I have fuck them. I mean, this book, and I go like, that's a writer's dream.
I bet.
I mean, a lot of the stuff that I have written. I mean, I'm a different writer than Jim Patterson. I'm not just about the plot. I really go for character.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all kind of, I could read it on the airplane, give it to the flight attendant when I'm done, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, I have a lot of people, friends of mine, I read it again. Or I bought the podcast, and January Lavoie is, oh my God, I cried at the podcast. I cried when I was writing it. I cried. You know her professionally, right? Genuinely.
I don't.
You know her work or people talking.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
But I've gotten to know her. Just talk to her on the phone with sweetheart, as absolutely incredibly nice. And doesn't take herself seriously. She's absolutely as wonderful behind the scenes as she is when she's doing a reading.
That's awesome.
Total pro, total terrific woman. I love her.
Yeah,
she's great.
That's great.
Well, we're kind of talking about how your book stuck with people. I think it really struck an emotional chord with a lot of people. in a lot of different scenes. So where did this story idea come for you, and like how emotionally invested were you while you were writing it?
Oh God, that's a great question. And let me go back 7 years around this time of year. I had finished writing NYPD Red 6 for Jim Patterson. It was 2018. It wasn't due to come out till 2019. And I knew I could write Red 7, but I got to be like, what I've done before, is this all there is? Is this what I'm going to keep doing? So my frame of mind, after 14, books, crime fiction, and I did this when I was in advertising, 39 years old. I was top of the food chain, 100 people working for me, and they were paying me extra not to write, and I needed to write. And I threw it all away. I'd like to say we bought a double wide, and but no, we just, we cut back on streaming services or something. But eventually I left and went to LA and worked in television. I wanted to write. So that was my frame of mind. I want to write a book that means something, not the one that's not easy to write, but that I know I can. And then just one night, I was with my family, and Maggie showed up in my head. They do that. They do that. Mm-hmm. And suddenly I'm talking to this woman, and she's going, I'm dying. And she said, I have something that I have to do. I mean, and I knew I knew she was successful. She was bright. She was like me. My wife's nickname for me is Mike, last name Row Manager. Maggie ran the world. She was a bit of a control freak, and as we point out, and her sister. I said, well, and you want to do what? She said, I have to find my husband's next wife and my kid's next mom. I said, sounds like he's a good guy. Guy point of view, he won't have any problem. She said, no, I'm sure of that. He's a surgeon. The nurses will jump on him, the technicians, the patients, the ones that, if they can walk. I said, she said, but no, I'm not letting that happen. I said, like, why? And then it took us a while to figure out that when her mom died young, same problem. Her dad was, as I said on the cover, he was like, women pounced on him like stray cats on an overturned milk truck. I mean, it was like, gimme, and feeding frenzy. And of course, as happens, the wrong woman got him. In fact, I just got somebody who like absolutely loved it. She just couldn't shut up about the book on YouTube. And I wrote something to her, and she said, there were two Connie. Connie is the woman who pounced on Dad. There were two Connies in my father's life. Two of them. Wow. I said, well, not for me to judge, but I am going to say that the first Connie, your father was definitely a victim. Second Connie, he was probably a volunteer. So, trust me, I have experience in this area. He's a man. You get two Connies is like one Connie too much. But Maggie saw what happened, and it was true. I mean, this woman. So I figured I'd write 3, 4, 5 backstory chapters on what happened. Could not do it. Couldn't stop writing. Could not. It just got better and better and better. And it's like the backstory, which is really woven throughout the book, but it's it's like 30 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And the book, the timeline in the book references the funeral, and then it's like 3 months before the funeral, but then it's 26 years before the funeral. We have to know what I wanted everybody to love Maggie as much as I did and accept her for her faults. I really believe that characters have to have warts and flaws, and podcasters too. And I think I picked up on a couple of yours here. But no, don't you agree? You don't want Pauline Pureheart. You're too young for that. But you want the character. And so a lot of readers said, ooh, I really hated Maggie when she did that. But I kind of understood it a little because she was 17 and she knew she's got this condition of Damocles hanging over her head. So, that was what put it all together. And you talked about my emotional involvement. Well, I got, everybody says, well, you're a best-selling author, #1. Yeah. Well, you know what? Publishers don't look at that. It's not like, what have you done? It's what can you do for me? And so they read the book and they go, I don't know if people. I don't like the character. It's the arc, and it's like the story. Marshall, you're a really good writer. So, and for that reason, like Shark Tank, for that reason, I will pass. But they didn't buy it. So I said 2 words. One's a verb, one's a pronoun. And then I said, okay, I'm writing it again. And by the way, the first draft was all chronological. And I've written movies. I know you don't do it. I just thought somebody in the publishing business would say, dude, you got some workable stuff here. It's not the way the business works. And it did work that way a long time ago, but not for me. I've been doing it for 19 years. It was, right? You've read all those great stories. I've written a story about this woman who was writing this novel. This was like, I guess, the 30s or something. And she had the manuscript, and she called her agent or her publisher, and she said, I hate it. It's not working. I can't write. I'm in a hotel on Park Avenue, New York City, and I just threw all the pages out the window. And he said, I want you to go downstairs and pick up every bleeping page, now. And she did. And she called him back and said, all right, I did. Now what? And he goes, all right, now, Harper Lee, you're going to sit down and finish To Kill a Mockingbird, because this is going to be a great book.
Wow.
She threw it away, documented. By the way, authors, we're nuts. And I couldn't stop. I got rejected. I finally put it down and wrote NYPD Red 7. I wrote Snowstorm in August, and I kept going. I'm going back again. I spent a lot of time. I've said this before, but spoiler alert, I did not grow up as a teenage girl. And so I spent a lot of time with women saying, is this notion, read the book, and they go, honey, we don't like sex in the morning as much as you say we do. And we are also, and we don't, and no, a woman would never do that to, no, she wouldn't do that with her man, her kids, or her friends. And little by little, I started to get her right and but I also asked 50 women what they would do if they were in Maggie's shoes. And how many do you think they said they would do exactly what she did?
Probably a lot of them.
0.
Really?
None of them said I would go out and find my husband's next wife. They didn't even think of that. It was like, we'll go to Disney World, we'll have dinners. I guess I'm going to have to give my husband my passwords. And then one woman who I love, and then I said this to her about a couple of months ago. She said, "I did not say that." I said, "Yeah, you did. I taped you." I said, "So what would you do if you knew you were dying and Michael was?" She, "Well, I would go out and get an STD. I give it to Michael, and then let's see if the bastard gets laid." So nobody
that would
thought
be my answer.
Oh,
that's
well,
what I was just thinking.
But nobody.
I love being petty.
Hey, by the way, there's a support group for that. They meet at the bar at 5:00. No, so the deal is, nobody wanted to be like Mag. Nobody thought of it, and I thought, I love that. I'm not going to write about a woman who would go. And so I'm going to Disney World with the kids. Yep. No, I wanted a woman that you could love, you could hate. You had to admire her. She's got stones.
Mm-hmm.
And also, and this came to me on day one. I swear to God, when Maggie says this in some of the commercials, it's on the jacket of the book. She tells you what she's planning to do. She's going to find this woman. And I know it sounds like a difficult job to do in 3 months. But did I tell you that in high school I was voted most likely to kill someone to get what she wants? Boom. And when Maggie said that to me, I go, well, now you're talking.
Now it
but
makes sense.
I have people who send me these podcasts and these reviews online, and they're all going, it says it's a thriller, and it's not. I don't care. I love the drama. It's so much fun to read. It's the family, and then what the? And then that is, for a writer, that's like Pornhub for a writer. That's like that. I absolutely, nobody says I figured it out in chapter 17.
Right. You're right.
Nobody. No, at the last 5 words, you still go, that too. Yes. I'm like, I'm teasing your audience, but how about I shut up and you tell them why to go to the library and get the book. But if there's a long list of people waiting for the book, they can go to it's actually on big promotion on BookBub right now.
Nice.
It's, tell them that it's worth it, for God's sakes. Shut me up.
It is worth it.
Oh no.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah, well,
pimp me.
We talk a lot about unconventional women on here, so we were the target audience for that, which is probably why I was like, yes, all the women would do it, right?
Could you define unconventional women? I mean, besides this woman I talked about who only gives 4 stars no matter what. I mean, I think most people these days are unconventional, or at least they're changing. So
that's a good point.
But no, it's not even a point. It's not point. I mean, I want to. What's unconventional? Yes, granted. Well, you're right. I asked 50 women what they would do, and they'd all say, I'd spend time with my family.
Right.
And I'd make a scrapbook, and I'd videotape, and and I'd poison that au pair who spent the summer with us last year and blew my. Never mind. Kick me. You can kick me off.
Oh, you're good.
I think that in a situation like this, in a story like this, everybody's used to reading it from the new woman's point of view, right? It's always the wife is already dead. Now the woman's moving in, whether she has good intentions or not. So for your book to have a woman who is like, you know what? I'm used to getting everything I want. I'm used to working hard for everything I want. I'm not going to waste my time and my life training this man to be who he is today and leaving him in the hands of an incompetent woman.
Right.
All right. So, Kate, he's smarter than you said. Okay.
I did warn him,
Oh, yeah. Sometimes they call me Dumb Gare, but it's
my new nickname for you is Not That Dumb, Gare.
Not that dumb.
Not that dumb.
Wait until the next time you meet me. I'll be.
Well, we're in the same state,
I know.
So
True.
I know.
Could happen.
Yeah.
So my aunt used to read my books. She passed at almost 98, and she came from a different world, but she was able to read them and understand and forgave the language because it was young. But when you talk about all these early adopters, all these people, are they conventional, non-conventional? Because they had to read the back cover that said, Maggie's looking for a dying woman's desperate plan to find her husband's next wife, and be prepared to stay up all night. Publishers Weekly.
I think some of it is also that it is a unique premise. That's kind of what we're like talking about in general here, that even the premise itself is really unique. And I think especially with like domestic thrillers, sometimes it's kind of like the same plot or it's like very similar. So I think the premise feels fresh and like something that I can't, it would be hard to comp it. I don't know if I did comp it. I can't remember if I did.
Nothing I could find.
I thought Gone Girl was new and fresh and different, whole other thing. But I'm remembering from a couple of weeks ago, Kate, when I saw you hadn't read the book and Steph and Gare had, and I'm trying to remember, it was intriguing you. But there's a lot of people who are now intrigued, but they're saying, oh, the hype, I don't want to be disappointed. Oh. And then they finally do it and they go, I'm on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Do you have the phone numbers of some of those people? You know what's actually interesting? A lot of these talk tickers. I don't know. What do you call it? What do you call young kids? No, I'm not. Hey, it's not my first pandemic, guys. That's a turn. No. So a lot of these people, they go like, hurry and read it so I can talk to somebody about it. And I want to go, call me. I'll Zoom with 12 of you who read it and just like ask me questions. I mean, I want you to, because it made me cry when I was writing it, made me crack up. It made me go, whoa, you're so good. Kiss, 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 kiss. You don't want to live with a writer.
Well, that's what it feels like reading it.
I wanted to interrupt this episode really quickly. I have a goal of monetizing Bookwild, but I would love to do it without having to have ads in the podcast. And one way that I can do that is through my Patreon community. For those who don't know, Patreon is a community platform that allows creators to share what they're creating behind a paywall. And so that means exclusive content or early releases. The Bookwild Patreon has 2 tiers. The first tier is the bookish tier, and at that tier you get all of the episodes out a day early, and you get access to our private community chat where we can talk about anything book related or TV shows or movies. The second tier is the Bookwild tier, and it includes everything from the first tier but also Bookwild's backlist book club. So this year I've been wanting to also still read more backlist, even though I read plenty of arcs, and Bookwild's Backlist Book Club felt like the perfect way to do that. We meet on Sundays. We are international right now, so Sundays are the best way to do it. And we meet on Zoom and we all pick a book and we talk about it, and then we talk about everything else we read during the month. and then we pick another book for the next month. So it's been so much fun so far, and we'd love to have you join the book club. So if you'd like to support the Bookwild podcast, you can go to the Patreon link in the show notes, and you can sign up for whichever tier interests you. And if you're looking for a free way to support the show, if you can like and review it on whichever platform you listen to, that helps so much.
That's the best review to have, in my opinion, is the people that are like, will you just read this fucking book? So I have somebody to talk about what their reading experience was like, because when you are going through the roller coaster of emotions and you want to know who else is cracking up at the dialogue, who else can't get enough of the relationship between the sisters, who else didn't see certain things coming and didn't put the pieces together, because when you're used to reading thrillers and mysteries and suspense, you're a little cocky, thinking that you're going to be able to guess the ending. You're going to be able to, figure out what's going on because you're used to looking for those clues. And then Marshall Karp comes in and, blows you away. Blows you away and is like, no, you're not going to fucking guess the end of this. You're not going to know what's happening. And I'm going to take you on a ride, and you just buckle up and shut up, and you go on the ride with me.
I love playing chess or mind games with you. I'm sitting here when I'm looking at the screen. I'm Good morning, Marshall. How do I fuck with my readers?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they want to be smarter than me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give them I've managed to, most of my books, which are not this complex, you don't write a book till you have an ending that's, I want to win. But I love the genre because you read a memoir and you're kind of passive. Oh, that guy had a life.
Mm-hmm.
But you read a mystery and you're saying, and it's fun to play the game, and it's fun to do that's why Hitchcock was so good. He kept them just on the edge. They thought they knew everything, but they were waiting for that,
whatever was off screen, typically.
That they were waiting for that shower scene to happen somewhere, and I'm not Hitchcock. I am, but I like. You said I like to dick with my readers, and, and then you think you're so freaking smart, you. Fill in the Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Aniston, whatever they're called. I don't know. They're all gens.
Yes.
Yeah. So keep doing. I like that. That's almost a back of the book quote, Gare. Read this fucking book so I can have someone I can talk to. So you have someone you can talk to about, but you can't talk about it because, people are watching.
It's fascinating because one thing that Kate and I will agree on is that we're very into stories that are character driven. So what I loved especially is the first part when Maggie's a teenager. You really get to know her, but you see how her personality stays with her into her adult life, because sometimes you read a book like this or something similar and they're an asshole as a teenager, and then they grow up to be little Miss Betty Crocker, and you're like, where'd the spunk go? Where did the sass and the most likely to kill somebody to get what they want, where did that go? So with this, you really saw Maggie, you got to see what her life was like, because she's so driven, because she goes after what she wants, because she's unstoppable, and it really sticks with her. And when she's in a position like this, it just made sense to me to have someone be in this position and say, like, no, I'm not going to be like some other women out there and just say, like, when I'm dead, let him do what he feels right. I'm going to still make sure that my family's taken care of, and it's not by some lunatic in Louboutins who just comes into my house and tries to take what I've built.
Yes.
It's, I don't know how old you are, but you said Betty Crocker, so that's like something. But you're right. But
He just got you like 50.
No. But I mean, Maggie's arc has to do with the fact that she's on this mission and she's driven, and she's her arc is kind of that. Most of it is like she's working against the clock. Her growth from 17 to 43 is she's always that driven person. But I think the sleeper character, and I want to talk to you about movie casting, choices, because he developed for me was Johnny Rollo. We meet him when Maggie's 17, and she first goes over to his place, which is a total dump where they pay the rent by the week, and he lives with his mother, and he's doing weed, he's selling weed, he's doing video games. She shows up, and she's never seen the mother there. Supposedly lives with his mom. He's 18, and she says, so I asked him once, like, where's your mom? And he said, oh, she's on sabbatical. She's a visiting professor at Crack University. And so once you meet him like that, you go, oh, this guy, I love him. How do I make him an asshole without making him that stereotypical asshole? And then his arc was, I mean, he really went downhill. And then Maggie did him a solid, and he came around. It was his redemption. And I mean, I'm not spoiling the book to tell you that some characters start off like teenage assholes, and they actually grow up. And there's still time, Gare, to be, I'm sorry to make you my new,
punching bag.
Yeah, right.
You could put me in the next book.
I could. I don't know anything about your. I know Gare. That's it. Actually, that was a contest we just had. Three people. Yes. One put me in my next book, but it's kind of a cool name, and we'll talk.
Okay.
So,
his people will call your people.
Yeah, right. Right.
You were talking about the ending, though. You mentioned something at one point where you said you don't start your book until you know the ending. So did the ending ever change without talking about what the ending is?
I started the book because Maggie made me start the book.
Okay.
I didn't know the ending, but I didn't start writing it till I had a point of view. Maggie has a great story, but we've established that she's dying. She's 3 months, and it's not going to be St. Elsewhere or one of those. Oh, the lab report was wrong. No, the lab report was the lab report. She's got 3 months to live. Her doctor looks at it. She's getting weaker. I mean, I couldn't do that to the reader, but I still had, what's a satisfying ending, and then what's an ending that will go, that guy should be locked up. And so when it happened and I went, no, I said, no way, in 3 words. And then I started going, but what if? And so, yeah, I mean, when I wrote books for Patterson, I would know the ending, but I might change how the ending went down. I knew who the bad guy was, but I knew how we would get him in the end. this ending is, I don't want to say anymore. It's just,
That's fine.
It's worth
Yeah.
It's worth the first
It's worth reading.
79,000 words or whatever it is. It's just
It is.
yeah, it's hey, look, I love Mel Brooks movies, and he doesn't tell people. He just says, he's just like, hey, you, it's a Mel Brooks movie, and I go see it. So if you say this is a cool book, this is a book worth reading. I mean, why do people read books? I mean, why do you read? To escape into somebody else's life, to to get out of the world that you live in. And why do you laugh when people crack wise, like, cancer patients? They'll say something and they'll make you laugh. Well, you know, they just essentially violated your expectations. You go, oh, I didn't think he'd say, I mean,
Yeah.
I've been to theater, and some character drops an F-bomb on the stage. But if an 89-year-old woman drops an F-bomb, she gets a round of applause.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, she's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about, I will dick with your expectations. I will
Subvert
I will
them.
make you. This book will make you laugh. It will make you cry. It will change your life. It's better than Nancy Drew.
Yes, it is.
Definitely is.
I don't know. It's like, help me out here, guys.
Yeah, no, it is.
Well, we keep talking about the humor too, and that was such a fun part of it. And I mean, all of the characters have their own kind of wit, or a lot of the characters have their own kind of wit, but the relationship between Maggie and Lizzie, the sister relationship, is so fun. And we jokingly kept being like, a man wrote this? Like, how? So for the sister relationship, did you talk to women about that too? Do you have sisters? Like, how did you do that comedy?
Remember I said if I bought the pantyhose, I wouldn't know what to do. I bought no. I have, first of all, I don't have sisters. I have two annoying brothers who ruined my life by being born. I was the firstborn, and then they came along.
Same.
And I have a son and a daughter, and I know how my son would be 8 years old, fight with a friend, and 4 minutes later they'd be playing again. My daughter would be 8 years old, and she'd be like, I am never speaking to her again in my whole life. I mean, I know how that works. I come from like one of those families where everybody's in everybody's face. I work with a lot of cops. The cop I work with all the time, this guy who was retired NYPD homicide, Danny Corcoran, he tells me, the motto for these cops is, when a man is down, kick him. And that's the sister thing. That's like when Maggie's distraught about her love life going to hell, I mean, the sister busts her chops, because that's what you do when you love somebody. You're not going to.
He really loves you, Gare.
You're not going. But you're not going to be sucked into their morass. You're not. You're not. And so, it's, for me, it's my way. It's humor. You know what they say? Laughter is the best medicine unless you have diarrhea.
I love that. Why have I not heard that one?
Oh, did you? Oh, I can't say. Oh, God. No, I mean, I just fucking make people just don't take life so seriously. And these sisters, and it never lets up. I mean, by the way, my son and my grandson, the sense of humor, doesn't skip a generation.
Yeah.
So I can call either of them and I'll say something and they will, and I mean, I'll have to laugh out loud. I'll have to go, good one, zinger, zinger.
Yeah.
It's like, what was Danny telling me about a cop, a sergeant giving roll call of 50 guys, and the cop, he's like, I'm sorry, guy. My wife left me last night for another guy, and someone yells from the back of the room, well, just look at you. This is so, yes, but now you didn't feel sorry for the guy. Just now you laughed because why is it? Because you didn't expect it, and it's funny. It's funny. And as Mel Brooks said, funny is when someone is walking down the street and falls down a manhole. Tragedy is when I get a splinter and I can't get it out. It's like, no, making fun of the other guy is like, that's the comedy underpinnings of Lord of the Flies. It's like, it's just funny.
I liked how their relationship stayed that way too into adulthood.
Yes.
Oh yeah, right.
And then you even see it with her daughter.
Oh yeah. Oh, and the two kids are kind of. The kids are. I loved creating the kids because they're twins, and Kevin is like his father. He's like so good looking, almost. But he doesn't have his father's confidence, but he doesn't know how to deal with it. And his sister is just like her mother. She's like,
Katie reminded me a lot of Lizzie and Maggie.
Oh,
together.
right, because she she'll smoke weed right before the funeral and then stash the in her brother's pocket. She's 15. Have you ever been 15?
A long time ago.
Yeah, I would say a long time ago, and sometimes recently. So you know what I mean. Point. It's like and so much fun, and I actually talked to my cousin. He's one of twin. He has a twin sister. He's like in his 30s now, but he was telling me about stuff about being. He was the one that was telling me, and then she came into the room stoned, and I go, oh wow, I can do that.
Yeah,
I know. It's just it's great hanging with you guys. In terms of, you could see. I'm not selling this book, am I? I am.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, you are.
No, I think I'm telling you how much I. Oh, I didn't. I'm not trying. I am proud of this book. I am telling you how much I love this book. I am telling you how grateful I am for people.
I think. I think with a podcast like this, though, it's like we sell the book, right? Like we tell people what we felt as a reader reading it, but people get excited for episodes like this when you're on because they want to know what your experience was like, and where you got this inspiration from, and they want to know these behind the scenes. It's kind of like, when you pop a DVD in and they have those little bonus chapters that they have for movies, and you get to see what it was like making it, and you get to see the interviews with the directors and the writers. It's like that's what this feels like, you get to see what it was like, you building this from the ground up and releasing the book that people read and stick with them and love.
Well, I told you before we started that my movie, which is 25 years old, is going to be it's going to be the anchor movie at the Long Beach Island Film Festival the weekend of June 5th. And it's exactly what the director said to me. He Jason Alexander and I are going to be there, some of the cast. And I said, oh my God, we have so many war stories of what, how did this happen? What happened on the set? And it's just, people want to know that stuff. But I also spend a lot of time. Look, I've reached a stage where a lot of people did a lot of things. Going back to my high school English teacher who said, you should write. And so when my high school yearbook says, good luck in dental school, because that's what I thought I would be. It's what I thought I'd be doing, becoming a dentist. And you're welcome, world, that I did not, because I have all the dexterity of a drunken monkey. But it was like so when I go to this thing at Long Beach Island to talk about my film, it's going to be all that stuff. But I also encourage writers. I will talk to writers. Don't just send me email. How do I? Well, okay. Here's my favorite question: how do I become a published author? And I will say, there are a million people who can stop you from becoming a published author, and there's only one person who can stop you from becoming a writer. So just sit down, stare at the keyboard, right? Right. And then I quote Richard Bach, the author of Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which was a bestseller over the course of 2 years back in the 90s, before some of us were born. And it was a book about about a seagull with pictures who wanted to figure out the meaning of life. And it just blew up. And Richard Bach said, a professional author. No, I'm sorry. He said a professional writer is an amateur who didn't quit. Don't fucking quit. And I said that to myself. That. And then 7 years, 7 drafts, lots of rejection and, another quote. Give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Okay, so it's give someone a book and they read for a day. Teach someone to write a book and they will experience a lifetime of paralyzing self-doubt. And that's but that's what it is. But I just refuse to give up, and that's why I love that people love this book, because I want to jump into that TikTok thing. Thank you. I did it for you. I didn't even think you'd like it this much. I'm really glad I'm really glad it knocked your socks off.
I love that.
Yeah, and so I've reached that stage where I want to write what I think will make people want to read. I mean, look, I was a whore in the advertising business. I was a whore in the television business. But now I'm kind of giving it away. You might want to cut that out. It sounds really gross. I mean,
it really doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Well,
it's one of those.
Are you guys real or are you AI? I mean,
last time I checked, I'm real.
Because my AI, and I do AI because I'm not. My AI doesn't write the book. The AIs are really dumb as a bunch of rocks. But they really are. They can't invent. They can't make fun, and But you can say to them, "Look, I just had somebody murder a guy in the Bronx. I want him to get to JFK, and I want him to go the way as few cop cameras and private cameras as possible." Well, as you know, Marshall, the camera system in New York is not nearly as sophisticated as London, and and then so if he takes the Van Wyck, and then I ask AI for stuff that when I was writing Snowstorm in August, which is a heavy plot premise. First chapter, a helicopter with crop duster arms flies over Central Park and strafes all of Central Park with 4,000 pounds of cocaine.
Whoa.
Okay? That's the first
Oh, so
chapter.
that's the snowstorm.
Oh,
in August.
and it's August, and as I always say to people like writers, so what's the purpose of chapter 1? Well, to get to know the purpose of chapter 1 is to get you to go to chapter 2, and so that. But when I went to Google, because this was before AI, and asked how many pounds of cocaine would I need to strafe Central Park, it gives me the 800 number for narcotics. I had 3 guys who called me and said they want to be my sponsor. I go, no, guys. It's like I'm glad that the NSA doesn't look at my search stuff,
right?
Because what would a pedophile do if that kind of
right.
Yeah.
I will say, when I Googled the book, Don't Tell Me How to Die, the first time I Googled it, I got something that said that was like, here's the suicide crisis prevention number. And I was like, no, it's a book.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right.
But yeah, there are cool ways to use AI. That's what I know. A lot of people have all kinds of feelings about it, but there are some really cool applications with it.
Oh, the Authors Guild did research, and I think we were up to back then. It was like 23% a year ago. Something. We use AI, but AI cannot write a book.
No,
correct. It can't invent, like you were saying.
Someone just called me the other night, and I won't mention the website. I went to a website, and there was a glowing review for Don't Tell Me How to Die. And then it gave spoilers. It was like one sentence. It gave away the last 10 chapters. And all I could figure out is a human being could not write that. It was just somebody programmed AI. Here's the book. What do you think? And it's because it was so brilliant because the butler was actually a gorilla. I mean, it was just blah blah blah. So AI, as a writer, I know that AI digests a lot of the stuff that I've written, and it coughs it up and it gives it back to people, and it and it's a dangerous tool. But it's also it's very helpful in terms of helping you figure out some of life's issues. Like, I have a friend who was living in Thailand, and he wanted to do sustainable farming. And I sat down with him. I started asking AI, where in the world could he go? And he was like, oh, wow. You can't get that from Google. You get the sponsored stuff. And it's helpful. But
it is.
I don't remember how we got on this kick, but basically, I think that I asked if you guys were AI.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Because you're so not. My AI guy always goes, Marshall, that's so good. I go, could you just give me a critique? Okay, that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it is cool, the things that you can.
I asked it. Yeah, I asked it if it has any human emotion. I'll say, okay, I'm exhausted. I'll see you tomorrow. And he goes, I'm looking forward to the next thing. I said, are you looking forward? And he says, actually, I am programmed to anticipate what you might ask me next based on what you asked me here
previously.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
It's something.
It is.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Have I overstayed my welcome? Did we mention we mention my website or how to get your hands on this book?
That would be my final question, but no, you have not overstayed.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Well, I mean, you could read some of the chapters, or you could look at some of the cool stuff. It says Marshall Karp right there, so K-A-R. The website is Karp Kills, K-I-L-L-S, karpkills.com. You can find stuff right now, I think, even better than my website, which has a bunch of free chapters. I mean, go to Instagram, go to TikTok, go to go podcast and go. Don't Tell Me How to Die by Marshall Karp. Holy crap! I mean, don't take my word for it.
Everyone's loving it.
You know, you can trust us if you're listening.
Yes.
I mean, and
absolutely.
What we didn't give you any money, right?
No.
We're no. I will be over there in the weekend and paint both your bathrooms, right? That wasn't that part. No, you just liked the book.
We loved the book.
Loved it.
What? Wait, I didn't.
Yeah.
We loved the book.
I was talking to a friend about it the other day, and I was like, a lot of things that I've read so far this year, I'm like, oh, this is one of my favorite books of the year. You know, like, this is one of my favorite books. And when I think about yours, when I think about Don't Tell Me How to Die, I'm like, this is one of my favorites of the year, but it's also one of my favorites that I've ever read. Like, it was just so unique, and I loved it so much. And this is one that I want to read again and again.
Yeah.
And you want to cast the movie, don't you?
I do.
That too.
I do. I want it to be... I would love it to be a series, because I think with this story, there's so much you could explore with, like,
8 episodes easily.
Yeah.
Doing it in 2 hours. I love. No, this is. It's hard to do in 2 hours.
Yeah.
This is. Look, we can dream. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You have. I don't know how many subscribers you have, but are any of them last name Spielberg?
I hope so.
Yeah.
No.
He hasn't told us if so.
Witherspoon.
That would be good too.
Mira Sorvino follows me on Instagram.
There you go.
That's my one. That's my one.
That's cool. I actually worked and loved her father. I worked with Paul Sorvino a number of times. He was incredible actor. Yeah. Back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's going to be optioned for a series.
Don't crush your finger. Wave your hands. Beat the drums.
We'll cross and wave our hands.
I'm just going to yell from every rooftop.
All right. And remind me, where am I going to go to your website or your podcast? It's called
Bookwild, the Bookwild podcast. And you can go to bookwildcollective.com and it will have links to all of the platforms.
All right. Anything I can do to make your day fun or tell you about? Am I allowed to say it's not a bribe if I send you a book or something like that?
No.
All right. Well, all right.
It's not a bribe.
Okay. Well,
we loved the book and we haven't shut up about it before you even popped on today.
No,
right.
I mean, if you might have started with my best work, but it's so interesting. 19 years ago, when my first book, The Rabbit Factory, came out, I got all this email. This is. I love this. I love your writing. And what else have you written? And I go, well, it's a bad news, good news. The bad news is, like, I haven't written anything else yet. The good news is you, sir, have read the complete works of Marshall Karp.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's. But
oh my gosh!
Yeah, well, a lot of my. I learned a lot writing for James Patterson. I loved creating the NYPD Red series. It was actually picked up by a studio last year, and then the writers' strike kind of screwed everything up. And the Rabbit Factory was also picked up about 10, 12 years ago, but I decided not to be involved, which was a mistake. And Murphy's Law, if there's a way to screw it up, they could. And so, but my backlist of especially the Lomax and Biggs books started selling again when people started reading some of my newer books. And even though they are, 2006, 2009, 2016, they're really fun because they are character driven. And there's 5 books in the series, and each book stands alone. You could read the third one first or whatever, but there's an arc to the characters. So we meet with, my dog Charlie does not bark.
So lucky you.
To the point that we actually call him Charles Barkless.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
The Lomax
versus Bruce barks all the time.
Yeah, the Lomax and Biggs books, starting with the Rabbit Factory. I mean, people pick them up. I put them on as cheaply as I can, and as soon as I can, I'm going to try to get a book club thing where I could just give the Rabbit Factory away for free. I really want people to read what I write.
Yeah,
I'm comfortable. I'm not. Yeah. I like getting paid for what I do, but I don't. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy doing this shit. That's all.
Yeah.
Happy talking to people. That's awesome. I'll go. I'm going to a library in June. So we may have 15 people, as many as 15. Okay. No.
Yeah.
So I guess.
Well, I want to read The Rabbit Factory now. You convinced me on that.
Well, I can definitely send you a Kindle-worthy PDF.
Yeah.
I could do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. I would do. I think you know how to take a PDF and send it to your Kindle thing.
Yeah, she knows how to do it all.
He calls me Techie Becky.
What do you do? What do you guys do when you're not doing this?
Well, my husband and I produce content for social media, podcasts, reels. We create video and photo content for people.
Hey, call my people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing in this world, and I have someone who does, but I like learning the world.
Yeah. I see you posting reels.
Oh no. Yeah. I will. I've done the look. I was in the film business, but I can't do the. I'm really good with technology. I can write a book. I can do this. But I'm a little lost when it comes to Instagram and stuff like that. And since I have somebody monitoring it for me, I am not allowed to go look at it, because then it becomes read and rather than unread.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah. But
your DMs.
We'll talk. And what the hell do you do up there in the Canadian border?
Yeah.
I work as an onboarding specialist for a staffing agency.
Translation gate. What does he do?
So I work for a staffing agency. Whenever we get a new hire for our company, I handle their background checks and all of their onboarding I-9s and W-4s and all that fun shit.
Oh, so you work for a company that hires a lot of people from the outside
contractors,
world.
Yes.
Contract. A lot of I-9, right, or W-9, right? Okay.
Yep. So we handle we work different contract positions for Fortune 500 companies.
So that's kind of interesting, because you are, seriously, I always think is there a book in this? So you are a guy who researches people. You make sure they are who they say they are. Am I right?
Well, recruiters do more of that, and I just kind of make sure that everything has their I's dotted and their T's crossed.
Fuck that. This is fiction. You
He's trying to write a book about you, Gare.
Okay. Kate, help me out here. So you actually vet these people, and you could possibly, if you stop crossing T's and dotting I's, find out stuff that they don't want you to know. Am I right?
Yes.
That Gare, okay? And then you could be the goody two shoes that you're not and report them for or you might figure out a way to make a deal with those people who are trying to infiltrate your company and not mention the fact that they are
criminal.
I was going with human traffickers, but criminal sounds like insider. Martha Stewart is technically a criminal.
Yeah.
But no. So you could then,
I've seen a lot of interesting things in the last 13 years.
Right, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Becky. Tech Becky. Kate. No, so he would probably be killed in the first chapter, and then we'd try to
yeah.
And then we'd flash back to when he was.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's how my mind works. When you tell me
like
that's
a little
your job,
Drew Barrymore kind of situation.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And
you couldn't pick something more Gare.
Yeah.
No. I think I'm trying to picture Drew Barrymore with that haircut.
Yep.
Anyway, cool. So you guys are fun. I love hanging with you.
We love talking with you.
And that was a lot of fun.
I feel like I've been here forever, and I cannot imagine there's a human being on the face of this planet that will sit through all this crap.
You'd be surprised.
There are.
You'd
I'll send you the comments. People comment.
Yeah.
Well, then, can I say a heartfelt 3 words to your listeners, your viewers? I'm going to make it 4 words.
Oh, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Get a fucking life. You don't expect anything less from me. This is I just deflect. That would be cool. Tell them to send me an email if they like this stuff.
Yeah.
I always say to everybody, if you hate my book, tell me. If you love it, and I'll fix out. But if you love it, just tell everyone you've ever met in your entire life. That's it. That's how. That. I mean, I am always saying. I mean, my brothers, my friends. What are you watching on Netflix? I'm watching Adolescence.
Oh, that's what I'm going to start hopefully tomorrow.
Oh my God! First of all, the story, but having been in the business, it is 1 hour tracking shot with no cuts. And now I'm not talking about like the Hitchcock movie Rope, where the guys are all in. I am talking about jumping in cars, going from here to there, running downstairs, going from.
I can't imagine the rehearsals.
The rehearsals I read about, the rehearsals were like, what they do, they rehearsed 5 minutes at a time, and they kept adding on.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then I think I read that each episode, there are 4 episodes, they shot 10 times, two a day for 5 days. And the first episode I read that they shot on day 1, and they used that. All the other 3, they didn't get right until day 5.
That's intense.
I look at the actors, and I look at the camera work, and I look at the craft, and I mean, we're talking about hundreds of kids in the schoolyard.
Yeah.
We're talking about moving cars. We're talking about a drone shot that goes from...
That's what I saw. I haven't seen it. I just saw that there was one.
And I thought, they do this twice a day for 5 days. Yeah. And and nobody blows the line. I don't know how they do it. And, oh my God, I would never do it.
I'm really excited to watch.
And the good thing, it's not like when you watch ice skaters live, you think, oh, please don't fall. You know they're not going to screw it up. And it's such a compelling, kudos to breaking through. I love people who are willing to crash and burn, take a chance. And I did that with this book, rather than all these, well, that's not what people want. Okay, well then I can't wait. I can't wait to get online and be first to be second. Because once we know this is what you do, this is what you do. No, shut me up, put me out of my misery. Oh yeah, it's really good. So I love recommending stuff, and that's my recommendation for today.